so many of you have managed to
I'm in a meeting.
Jump into this session though and figure out what you're doing. All right, so welcome along to tonight's Year 12 parent information session. We are now recording the session. So as I've just reminded you, if you have any questions, we would love for you to ask them during tonight's session. You can use the chat, which there's a little chat bubble at the top to ask any questions that you have. And if you would like to, at the end of the session, ask any questions, you can also turn on your microphone. If you just have a look beside your name, make sure that your mic is on mute. I'm just muting a few as we go. But you are welcome to use your microphone at the end of the session for any questions you have. And if you have anything that may be a little bit more personal in nature, might be a little bit more specific to you or your student, please either use the QR code that's on the screen right now, or you can go onto that forms link, or even better, we'll have a whole heap of email addresses up during this session, and a really great idea just to email the person that you need to as well. So I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. We normally get our senior leaders to do this, and our senior leaders have clearly hit the ground running, our Year 12 senior leaders, because I've gotten hold of all of them and they're all very busy tonight, which is good to hear. So we hope to have a few of our senior leaders helping us out with our acknowledgement of country in future. But I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, seas, skies and waterways from across Queensland. We pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, the culture and hopes of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across the state. But I also say further than that, because we acknowledge that there may be many of you joining us who aren't even in Queensland. So thank you for joining us tonight. A special welcome to our new and continuing students. So we have many, many students who are joining us from last year, from successful Year 11 pathways into Year 12, and it's great to have you back. We have just over 200 of our Year 12 students, and we also have some new students. So welcome along to any new families we have in tonight. Be assured that you are not one of only one or two. There are quite a few new students, and while it is very hard to transition into the school in Year 12, rest assured that your new person or new student should find that there's a few others around them that have also joined us this year. So welcome along to you. The agenda for tonight, so first of all, you'll hear from our Deputy Principal, who will talk to you about who's on the Year 12 team this year. She will talk with you about the Away for the Day policy and how that relates to us in an online environment, Year 12 expectations, extensions, the QCAA portal, the academic integrity course put out by the QCAA, our Year 12 student leader senior jerseys, guidance officer information, and what probably a lot of people want to know about is events and things that are happening, really important things that are happening during the year. So with that, I will pass over to our Year 12 Deputy Principal, Carolyn Burke.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good evening, everybody. I'm really pleased to see that you've joined us. Can I get some, if you can all see up the top of your screens, you can see a little smiley face that says react. Can I get everyone to click and give me a reaction? How are you feeling tonight? Thumbs up, clapping, hearts. That's excellent. Great to see our parents are jumping onto the Teams tools already, so that's great. All right. So just a quick introduction to the Year 12 team. You will know these people already from around the school, I'm sure. You've got me, of course, I'm the Deputy Principal for Year 12. You might remember that we were called Heads of School last year. We have decided that we are going to use the appropriate terminology for our position, which is actually Deputy Principals. And that has also happened with our Deans. So below me, you can see the picture of Miss Chu, Christine Chu. She is our Year 12 Coordinator. This is her second year in that role, and she does a fabulous job. You've just been hearing the dulcet tones of Charlotte Thomas. She's been one of our Heads of Department Pathways and Engagement for a number of years. This year, her role is ever so slightly different. She's focusing on just Year 12s this year. as one of the senior schooling heads of department. And you can see also that we have Sarah Round, our guidance officer. This is, I think, her second or third year in the Year 12 guidance officer role. So you've got quite an experienced team here with you looking after your young people this evening and this year. We also have our VET team. So that's our vocational education and training. You've got the picture of Miss Oliver. She's not with us this evening, I do not believe. She is the head of department for VET and business and has an exceptional knowledge about VET. And we also have Jill Toppenberg. So some of you have probably already been speaking to Jill regarding external VET offerings that your young people might be undertaking. So if you wish to email Jill, there is also the vet at brisbanesde.eq.edu address is probably the best email to use for her, or you've got her personal one there. Ladies, could I get one of you to pop that in the chat box for the parents, please? Now, Charlotte was speaking about the phones away for the day policy. That is a policy that was brought in by the Queensland government last year, and it is across all schools across the state. So what does it look like with us? Now, we're not in the room with your young people, so we've asked them to have their phones away for the day while they're doing their lessons. We can't monitor that very closely, but we trust that they are going to be very responsible with following that rule that was put out by the minister last year. We have included that and updated that expectation in our student code of conduct. So you'll see that if you're wanting to look at our code of conduct, it is on our website. So the easiest way is to go to our website, type student code of conduct, and you'll see that is detailed on page 27. I'll give you a moment to read through it. You'll note that it talks also about smartwatches, handheld devices, and other emerging technologies. And it's about the ability to connect to telecommunication network and social media. So the idea is that students are able to focus on their learning and not be distracted by phones or social media streams. You'll also see that down the bottom paragraph where students participating in activities such as off-site vocational education and training or work placements, those guys will follow the expectation of their workplace. So if they have a workplace that requires them to be carrying their phone for a safety purpose, that is absolutely fine. The other thing you need to be aware of is that a teacher may give them approval to use a phone or a smartwatch for a curriculum purpose. So that staff member has the authority, if it's a curriculum-related purpose, to give your young person the choice to use their phone. Now, generally, it most affects us when we have our excursions. So as you know, and you'll be hearing about our orientation day on Friday. We also have excursions. I believe there was a geography excursion today. It is expected that students' phones are off and in their bags and away for the day during that event. There are staff that have their own school device or their own device if there is an emergency and they need to call someone. Someone's microphone's just on. Thank you. And the principal is the only person that could decide whether an event is allowing the phone. So for things like excursions, we bring cameras and share cameras out with the young people so that they can take photos for their cohort, where young people are happy to have the photos taken. So we do try to accommodate those needs that they might be missing from the phone. So some common questions for students. I think most of your young people are probably used to this by now, but one of the big questions is what they need to contact the parents or carers. Well, if they're at school on an event, we've got staff that can get to a phone to help them. So either using the school mobile phone or take them to a landline. So they should approach the teacher in charge of the activity or one of the teachers supporting the activity and ask them to contact you as the parent or the caregiver in an emergency. Another possible question could be what if they need to access the phone for medical, disability or wellbeing reasons. Now, this is really important. There is an ability for a student to seek an exemption for the use of their phone. I did have one year 12 last year that had an exemption. So if that's the case, would you please email me with the reasoning and, where possible, a medical certificate to cburk33@eq.au to seek an exemption. That's only going to be given if I can see that the phone is an absolute necessity for that medical reason. So, for example, you might have a student who's being monitored for their diabetes. Absolutely, we can do an exemption for that young person. So, if the students are finding the change challenging, and as I said, it's been in for a year now, so I am hoping that they are getting used to it, but some still might be finding it challenging. It's a good idea for them to talk with you as their parent or their caregiver. If it's a particular anxiety issue, they could talk to their medical professional, or there's always their Connect teacher at school as well. And if they're at school for an exam, if they're at school for an excursion, who's actually responsible for their mobile phone if they brought it? Well, they're responsible for their mobile phone. They should have it securely off and away in their bag where it's safe. And during exams, we always have the bags in a supervised area with the young people. And I've already spoken about school camps, school excursions. I will say, just a reminder, Year 12s, we do not have a camp this year. We cannot fit it in your very packed year in Year 12. I'm sorry. Okay, now thank you very much for your patience with that. I'm going to hand you over to Sarah Round, who is our guidance officer.
Hi everyone, it's really lovely to join you this evening. So I'm the guidance officer. I'm also the guidance officer for Year 8. So if you've got any younger students at the school in Year 8, they're with me as well. So I got just some quick tips for the beginning of the year. I know for a lot of our families that have been here for an extended period of time, printing work rate calendars is a very handy thing to do. And then I sometimes suggest making a centralised calendar so that you can keep track of the draft dates and due dates across the units of work for Unit 3 and 4, and for any of our students who have more unusual plans for the other studies that you're completing as well. Big tip for us in terms of the Year 12 team is it's a really good idea for you to be able to attend every class. It just means that you've got that ability to check in with your teachers and just get up-to-date responses in terms of any queries you might have with the content and with their assessments. Definitely answer and ask questions in the lessons. Encourage your students, whatever grade they're in, to start their assessments early. Handing in a completed draft is really, really super important. Carol's just shared the work rate calendar location for you, but definitely the advantage with submitting a completed draft is if a completed draft is submitted, one, you get feedback from your teacher in terms of how you can improve it. The other thing is if something is to go wrong and you don't have an extension, we have a completed draft that can be marked. Like Carol said, we monitor draft submissions very carefully because we know that that's actually a way of just making sure that students are prepared for their studies. So definitely handing in drafts, a completed draft, not just the first paragraph, but a completed draft is perfect. I've already commented on the feedback. Seek help from your family carer, teacher, other staff as needed. I am part of that plan. I've included my email address there. I'll be putting a notice on the announcements with my email address for the Year 12 group as well. They are able to email me directly. I work Monday to Friday. But definitely, look, sometimes it might take me a day or two to get back because of the amount of students that I'm supporting, but I do try and get back fairly quickly in terms of responses. And then the other thing I really suggest, and this is probably something for our new students, is making sure you do something outside the house every day. Okay, we don't want the world of our Year 12, well, any student in the school to get smaller because they're doing distance education with us. So I really recommend you, whether that's walking the dog around the block, whether it's going getting milk, whether it's going to your part-time job, whatever it is, make sure that you're getting out of the house every day. And try and build some connections with your classmates. I know there's opportunities during this semester for you to come in, whether it's exams, assessments, curriculum days, first aid courses, whatever that is. We really want you to build connections with your peers. Okay, so Again, my job is to support your students to have success. I assist in trying to reduce barriers to learning. So if things are going wrong, I'm a good person to contact, along with Christine and Charlotte and Carol. I also assist with adjustments, including some of the some ARA processes, although that does go directly to Penelope Wood, and I'm pretty sure that Charlotte will have the email address for ARAs shortly. I do support families and carers just around trying to, I guess, provide the best options in terms of students and their study. I am always welcome, even from the beginning of the year, career conversations about what people are planning for the future. I've already started having some of those conversations in the last week with some Year 12 students about their plans and their future options. From July onwards, I'm heavily involved with Year 12 QTAC applications or applications to other tertiary admission centres around Australia. I do assist with the educational adjustment schemes for QTAC, but again, also whether you're applying to VTAC or UAC or the other tertiary admissions programs around the country. So please definitely contact me if you've got any questions. The EAS applications for QTAC, they cannot be put in until July. So if you want to talk to me about gathering information, we can talk about that. The Education Adjustment Scheme is about recognising the challenges that a lot of young people have, and it can provide some additional, it may not be full, it'll be partial ATAR points to contribute to assisting you to gain entry to course. The very, very high entry courses like medicine, they do not use EAS. They cannot, because they're talking about such fine-grained adjustments. But definitely, if you've got any particular questions around career advice or anything in that area, I'm your person, as well as support around your learning and your any issues that you have going on. My email address is there. I'm sround2@eq.edu. And then there's the guidance inquiries email address as well, which is a general guidance email address as well. Okay. And now I'm going to welcome Chris Chu, and she's going to join us now. Chris, we can't hear you. Just turn your microphone on.
Oh, sorry, there we are. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. I'm very privileged to be supporting your children, our Year 12 cohort this year as your Year 12 coordinator. I'd like to start off with something that students always look forward to at the start of the year, always a highlight and a memento of their most important year. And we introduce it early because orders close on the 28th of February. So the Year 12 senior jersey, there are two different options you can purchase this year in the form of a normal jersey or a varsity jacket. We do order, you do order directly from Reform Clothing, and the links have been shared in our Connect announcements, and they're shared every Monday as well. So you do get the link each week in case you're looking for it. The students can elect to put their name, but not nickname, on the back. And once all those orders go through, they'll arrive early May, and so they'll have it for the rest of the year. Now, upcoming events, we generally have 2 parent information nights each term and 2 assemblies. So the next parent information night, if you'd like to put it in your diary, is the 10th of March. We do cover similar topics with updates for what's relevant later in the term as well. And in addition to that, our much anticipated Senior Orientation Day that's coming up this Friday. So the students have been shared a flyer as well as a consent form. It's a day for all Year 10 to 12 new and continuing students and their families. So we cover all things QCE, senior years. We have a student panel made up of our Year 10 to 12 student leaders as well, and morning tea is provided. So if you'd like to attend, our RSVPs were closing today, but if you'd like to get in touch as soon as possible to attend, you're most welcome to. Now, if you're unable to attend in person, we also do have an online option. So for the middle portion for the 11 to 12:30 slot, we do have a Teams webinar where we log into what's going on site as well. So that's all in your Child's Connect announcements. Now, important dates. We always advertise these early in the year, particularly the formal and the graduation. So very important, especially for our families that do need to make some travel arrangements to be here. Our formal will be on the Thursday, 26th of June at 6:30 p.m. Is that navigating? Oh, okay. Is that appearing for everyone? The important dates? Yep, awesome. Brilliant. Very good. Okay, so save the date 26th of June for the formal, and then graduation. The date and venue is to be confirmed, but it'll be in the last week of school, around the 17th to the 21st of November. So it'll be a weekday in that last week of school. Now, where will formal be held? That will be at, I believe it's Victoria Park, isn't it? At the events.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, lovely.
Victoria Park again.
Wonderful. So that's just north of the city, pretty much just close by. Okay, and then first aid. So Brisbane SDE do deliver a first aid skill set. It is a useful skill to have if your students are interested in coming on site for a day. There are some online modules that we support them to complete prior to the day on site. It does give them the ability potentially to gain 2 QCE credits, depending on whether they've got or they're completing or have completed any previous vet qualifications. But it is always a day that they get to meet their fellow students as well. So if you are interested, we've published the upcoming dates for the year in the Connect announcements. And so if they're interested, feel free to email me. All right, and that is pretty much all I wanted to cover. If there are any questions throughout the year, feel free to email me, Year 12 Coordinator at brisbanesde.eq.edu.au. So I'd like to invite now Ms. Thomas back to the lectern. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just changed to my headset, so if there's any issues with noise, please tell me. Yes, my name's Charlotte Thomas. I did have the role of senior schooling at Brisbane SDE last year. I was taking care of 11s and 12s, and this year I'm lucky enough to just have the year 12s. So what it does mean is that most of your young people will know me already and would have met me or spoken with me in regards to things like, block exams and things like that. So if you do need to reach out to me at all, I have changed email address this year, and it's simply because there's a year 11 senior schooling hot as well. Her name is Kirsty Ellerton. Some of you would know her. And she's also sitting behind that same email account. And the great news for you, it means that if I'm away for any reason or if she's away, we're able to support each other and hopefully get answers back to you sooner, so you're not worrying too much. So please use that senior schooling brisbanesde.eq.edu.au. If you've already got me in your address book under my my other personal email, I'm not going to not reply. It's no big deal. But if you can try and go to that one, that would be great. That 0460 phone number, that is my work mobile. So you are welcome to text me and call me on that at any stage. I do tend to put that away, you know, at night and over the weekend. So you're welcome to text or call me, and just, you know, obviously be mindful that if you text me at 8 o'clock at night, I'll see it the next morning, things like that, and then be able to get back to you. But you're welcome to use that number. Last year it was our exam phone number, and it will be again this year. So for any emergencies and things like that, you'll be able to use that phone number. Now, I'm going to continue talking about a few more things. I can see there's lots of questions coming about events, which is amazing. And what we might do is tackle them at the end, but you're absolutely welcome to pop them in the chat now. So just keep the questions coming, and if they're not answered in the chat, we'll get to them at the end, and we can speak about them. So just quickly, expectations of our Year 12 students. So in Year 12, Unit 3 and 4 are a pair. So in Year 11, you have Unit 1 and 2. So most of our students would have completed Unit 1 and 2. They would get a credit for each as long as they passed it, and then they would move on to Unit 3 and 4, which is essentially Year 12. Now, in Year 11, some of your young people may have changed subjects halfway through the year, which is absolutely fine. You would have finished the end of Unit 1, you would have changed subjects and moved on to Unit 2 in another subject. Unit 3 and 4 are a pair. So what that means is there can't be any more subject changes from here. So once you start Unit 3, you have to go through Unit 3 and 4. Now, for most subjects, there are 4 assessment items across Unit 3 and 4, and all 4 of those assessment items need to be submitted in order to get credit for Unit 3 and 4 combined. So if the student was to submit 3 of those assessment items and not the 4th one, they won't get credit for the entire year or the entire Unit 3 and 4 of work. Now, for those students doing general subjects, that 4th assessment item is the external exam that happens at the end of Year 12 that you'll either come into school and do here, or I will organise a local school for you to do your exams at. So that's that 4th assessment item. For students doing applied subjects, it's simply 4 assessment items across the year. So it's really important that students realise that they can't be missing assessment items, because that essentially means that they can't get any credit for the entire year in that subject. So everything needs to be submitted. If a link in the chain is missing, the chain doesn't work. The chain is not a chain anymore. So all of our students are expected to be on track for a QCE. All right, that's our Queensland Certificate of Education. It's given to us or to your young people by the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority, or you'll see on many, many slides, QCAA. All right, so all of our students should be on track for a QCE or a QCIA, and the Year 12 team has the job of making sure that this is occurring. Now, obviously, it's not up to us to make sure it does occur. That's up to your young person. But we will be advising every step of the way if we believe that your young person is at risk of not obtaining their QCE, and having a chat to them and yourself about what alternatives exist, whether it's adding on some extra study, transferring to something else, but we will be in touch with you. So all of our students should have successfully completed Year 11, hopefully would have banked 12 credits, and then would be moving into Year 12 to gain another 12 credits and be on track for 24 at the end of Year 12. Now, some of our students will be gaining an ATAR and some of our students will not. An ATAR is an Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank, and the entire purpose of the ATAR is to get into university. That is the absolute only purpose of it, is to compare one student to another in the same cohort in order to let students into a university degree. If you have a couple of young people at home, it can't even be used to compare one sibling to another if they try that on you, because every single year will have a different cohort of students, and they can only be, ATARs only work against the current year that they're in. So you can tell your young people that they can't compare each other, which is always handy. Subject changes in Year 11 could impact ATAR eligibility. We are currently running a little bit of a report to see who's ATAR eligible and who's not. I would hope most young people would know if they're ATAR eligible or not. But if you're not sure if you're ATAR eligible, you are welcome to email me, and there's an even better email for you at the end that you can email, and I'll bring that up. Basically, if your young person is in a minimum of 4 general subjects and then at least 1 applied, maybe a Cert 3, then they will be able to get an ATAR. Now, we have an expectation all of our students are in 6 subjects. So I say a minimum of 4 general subjects and 1 applied because that's what's used in the calculation. But in order to get a QCE, we need students to be on those 6 subjects. At any given point in time, we have approximately 40% of our students on track for an ATAR. So if your young person is not going for an ATAR, that is absolutely fine. The main purpose of being in Year 12 is to get to the end of Year 12, successfully graduate with your Queensland Certificate of Education. And Tamara, I'm very glad you asked because that is coming up. So yeah, I've got there approximately 50% of our students. It's normally about 50% in Year 11 and it usually dips to about 40% in Year 12. All right. Any student that's not gaining an ATAR that all of a sudden goes, oh, hang on, actually, I do want to go to uni all of a sudden. There are other alternatives. There always are to every pathway and every place you want to get. And that's when Sarah was talking about having career conversations with students. So if you are concerned about the fact that maybe your student isn't on track for what they're trying to do, or if you're not sure what they're trying to do, or you maybe need to find out, the best person to get hold of is Sarah in regards to those career pathways. Now, in terms of those 4 assessment items that I was talking about, it's really important that if students are not submitting their work on time, they have an extension. So if you go onto our website, then you can actually download the form that you need to apply for an extension at any point, all right? Now, extensions can be applied for before the due date if there is, maybe something significant has come up that has impacted the student, beforehand, that means that they need to apply to have something due, a few days later or a week later or whatever's appropriate depending on the circumstance. Extensions can also be applied for on the day. They shouldn't be applied for after the date, all right? Or at the very least, if you're applying for an extension after the due date, it's because something happened on the due date, you went and got evidence on the due date, and then you submitted the form a couple of days later, all right? So what is really important is that for those students that have illness and misadventure, so something that happens on the date that was unpredictable, is that there is some form of evidence. So in most cases, that's the student's ill, so they therefore would go to the doctor. If there was something that happened like an accident, an emergency, then we would need to know what that was and have some form of evidence as to what that was in order to approve that. Okay, so if it's foreseen and it's illness or something that happens before the event, it should be applied for before. If it's illness and misadventure on the day, you need evidence from the day, but can potentially be applied for a day or 2 later. The thing you need to keep in mind is that if it's illness and misadventure, let's say you've got a cold and it lasts for 3 days and the doctor said you have 3, you're unfit to do anything for 3 days. If you go and submit that extension form a week later, well, we can only give you 3 days. So you've already submitted that form after when your new date would have potentially been. So really, when we say illness and misadventure, you can submit it, after the due date. We're talking about later that day or at probably worst case, the next day. So with assessments, Year 11 and 12 is governed by the QCAA, so they make the rules, and it's important for us to adhere to them, and we also have to provide evidence to them. So if we are getting something submitted late, they can actually ask us to get the evidence that we got provided with as to why that came in late, all right? Non-submission of an assessment task on time would mean no credit for that subject, as I mentioned. All assessment tasks must be completed and all on time. An extension request must be formally applied for. As I said, students should be getting 24 credits at the end of year 12, but we do have a little bit of room there, wiggle room. So it means that if something happens in one subject, it's not going to mean that a student's gotten all the way to the end of year 12 and therefore doesn't get their certificate of education based on that. So we have a little bit of wiggle room to allow for unforeseen circumstances. Extensions, 3 days or less, should be applied for with the class teacher, and more than 3 days should be the HOD. And that's not myself. I know I'm the HOD of senior schooling, but it should be the HOD of the curriculum area. Okay. The only time that you would really start to get me involved in an extension is where it's, fairly significant, affects multiple subjects, and maybe we need to have a further look at your pathway in general, what's happening and whether that needs to be adjusted in any way. But you're always welcome to contact me about any unforeseen circumstances, any concerns you have, but just be aware that extensions will be approved by the curriculum HOD, not by me. So how to apply, that link is there. And as you can see, it says applications must be received before the assessment due date, all right, with a medical certificate or evidence. Internal assessment supervision. So in year 11 and 12, all assessment items except for the final assessment item at the end of year 12 in the big block exam for general subjects only can be my words are going away from me now. You can have an internal assessment supervisor, all right? So that means that it can be someone that is not related to you, that is not a family member or friend, that satisfies a certain criteria, and they can actually supervise you doing the exam instead of coming into Brisbane SDE. Now, I can't stress the amount of times we've had students come in to see us at the end of year 12. Maybe they've come for the formal, maybe they've come for graduation, maybe they've come for the big external exams at the end of year 12. And I've spoken to students or families who have said, oh, in hindsight, we wished we'd come to school earlier in the piece because, my young person has made some really nice connections and met some really great people and great friends that they will, take on for life. So if you are close enough to come to see us at Brisbane SDE, we really welcome you. We really love having you on campus, and we would really recommend it, not only for the fact that you get to, meet your teachers, you've got friendly faces in, the four of us that are in the room tonight. You might also get to meet some of your peers, and hopefully you'll also find that you're in a really comfortable situation that you get used to over time, and therefore you're going to be able to do the absolute best you can for your exams. So if you can come to us, we would really recommend it, all right? If you need to change supervisors during the year, you can. You just need to make sure that you submit a brand new supervisor form, okay? External exams, so they happen at the end of year 12. The QCAA normally publish the exam timetable sometime in June or July, all right? And that will tell you at the end of the year, when we get to October, when exactly your final exam will be for any of the subjects in the gold column, okay? So just the subjects in the gold column, they have external exams. The subjects in the reddy pink column, you can continue using the supervisor you've always used for the entire year, whether that's coming into Brisbane SDE or, having a local supervisor closer to you. So the students in the gold, you must come and do your exams at an exam venue, which is a Queensland school, right? So I will be making contact with students during the year as to where you will be located for those final exams, because it unfortunately can't be with the person that you potentially have used for the rest of the time. Now, be aware that that final external exam at the end of year 12 is worth 25% of your final subject score in most cases, except for in maths and science, it's 50%. So that's a fairly substantial amount, and that will cover all of Unit 3 and 4. So it's really good for those students that do a lot of maths and science subjects to get your head wrapped around that now, that, you are going to have to really prepare for that. And Kylie, great pickup. I'm not sure why that's not there, but marine is definitely a subject that we run, and marine should be there. It's in the gold column. Yeah. I had this slide up last year and no one picked that up. Thanks, Kylie. So external exam venues, I will be the person that you will be communicating with in terms of organising those external exam venues. I will be sending out a survey probably at the start of next term. But if you already know where you want to go and set your exams, you maybe have a relationship with a school already, you're welcome to get hold of me at any stage and get the ball rolling on that, okay? But students are encouraged to come to us, and we have many students that will actually fly to us and stay around this area for the 3 weeks of exams to do their final exams with us. But obviously we can't expect that of you. Everyone needs to either go to a Queensland secondary school, or if you're interstate, we need to organise an appropriate venue for you. It is important for you to be aware that if you are interstate or overseas, there can be costs that will be passed on to you by the QCAA in terms of the exam venue sending materials, but also the exam venue can actually charge you costs as well. So please have a chat with me about that when you start to think about where you're going and what you're doing. But I will be your person. So the process for nominating that will start in early term 2. If you already know where you want to go, though, you're welcome to let me know now, and I do have a special email for that as well. We will forward all your nominations to the QCAA, and they're the ones that actually put in the formal request. All right. We have had circumstances where schools haven't been able to accommodate students, and that's when we will submit a couple of other suggestions as well. But I will maintain in contact with you about that. This is something we went over with our students for Learning for Success Day, so on Wednesday of the first week of school, and we also went over this with the students at the assembly last week. So all of our students should have registered for a learning account, and they should have also done our academic.
We've lost your sound, Charlotte. Sorry.
All right, can you hear me now? Awesome. Probably because I'm talking too much. Thanks for that, Sarah. So we have asked all of our students to make sure they have registered their learning accounts. They should have done that at the start of year 12. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, at the start of year 11. So all of your young people should already have learning accounts. I would really recommend that you have that conversation with them around whether they have registered. Most of our students have. I would also have a conversation with them about who their backup email is and their backup contact. It's really important that students aren't registering their email address as their EQ email address, because they will get shut out at the end of the year when they graduate from us. And then they'll try and log into their account and have all sorts of problems. So having a personal email address, maybe an adult email address if they maybe need to revise one that they've had since they were young, and also having someone else that can access their account if they feel comfortable is a very, very sensible idea. So have a chat with your young person about whether they have registered for their learning account. The QCAA portal and their learning account is where they access all of their grades, okay? So they can look at that at any stage. And if for any reason you have any questions about that, or they have any questions, or they think there's an error, then that results at brisbanesde.eq.edu is where you want to go to give, to ask any questions. And it is absolutely not rude to just question someone because you're not sure. No one is going to be offended. It's always better to know, even if you're told, yes, it is right, how it is in there. It's better to know, it's better to be able to, sleep easy knowing that than think, oh no, I don't want to ask, I'm going to be, rude or whatever else. So any random question you're having, even if you don't know how to understand it, just send it through to results. There's a lovely lady named Philippa. She sits behind that email, and myself and Kirsty also have access to that. So if any reason she's away for extended periods of time, we can help you there too. Students should be registering using their LUI, which is a 10-digit number. They will need this for the entire year, but they don't really need to memorize it, but they should find it when they log on to get their timetable. If for any reason a student doesn't know their LUI though, there's another email address for you there. You can either use the results that was here. Philippa will certainly tell you your LUI, but the other place is Pathways and Engagement. So either of those two, if a student doesn't know their LUI, just flick us an email and we will happily do it with no judgment. You won't get a slap on the wrist from us or anything like that. We'd be more than happy to help you find that or tell you what that is. The QCAA has brought out an academic integrity course that we have asked all of our senior students to do. So when they log into their learning account, they should see this little thing saying My Online Learning. So the My Learning account, the one that's in like that pinky color, that gives them access to all of their details, like all of their subjects, what grades they've got, all that kind of thing. The My Details is where they want to put an email address that can be used and maybe a backup email. But the My Online Learning is a course that they should all be doing so that they understand what academic integrity is. Because what QCAA have stated is that saying that you didn't know or you were not aware is not a reason, especially when the QCAA have put out this course to support students with academic integrity. And something I suppose that's really coming up this a lot at the moment is AI. And what is AI? When is AI used appropriately? When is AI used inappropriately? And so on. So it's really important that you get your young person to do that. And it's probably great if you're sitting over their shoulder. It's a really interesting course. It takes about an hour.
Sorry, your sound's going again, Charlotte. No, sorry, Charlotte.
I think Charlotte was saying that course will take about an hour to do, and it's really easy to step through. Is that correct, Charlotte? Okay, and Charlotte, if your sound isn't working, did you want me to take over? Okay. Hello, everyone. While Charlotte's trying to fix her sound, I'll take over. So we were just talking about the academic integrity course. So your QCE things are some key things to remember. It's really important that you focus on being able to, or your young people are able to earn their QCE. We asked for them to be projecting for 24 QCE credits so that they've got their buffer. Natasha, she will have a learning account. She probably just hasn't accessed it yet. So she can ask her Connect teacher for some help with that or write to Pathways and Engagement and we'll send her the instructions. Part of getting your 20 total QCE is that your young people have a literacy tick and a numeracy tick and also that they have at least 12 credits out of the 20 total that count towards core. So core is where they have started year 11 and finished through to year 12 or they've done the complete certificate 2 or above. Any not rated break the core. So we ask for students to be projecting for at least 16 and often 20 core because when students are a little bit at risk at the end of year 12, it can often be at their core. So that is why we're really particular about what their pathways are. Preparatory and tertiary work, I think it's complementary, do not contribute towards core. So if your young person is doing a diploma, that doesn't count towards core. If they're doing a Cert 1, it also doesn't count towards core. So it's really important that the young people are using their My Learning account, that pink tile, to be able to also track how they're going. It's really great if they're empowered to be tracking that themselves, but they can always ask us. ATAR and ATAR eligibility is that students are studying either at least 5 general subjects or 4 general subjects and 1 applied, or a VET course that is Cert 3 or higher. So a Cert 2 does not count towards the ATAR, Cert 3 or higher, please. Thanks, Christine. So if you're unsure if you're on track for a QCE or an ATAR, please email Senior Pathways or Pathways and Engagement at brisbaneste.eq.edu.au. If one of the ladies, if you could pop that in the chat box for people as well, please. So navigating the student portal, if you go to the My QCE webpage, so that's myqce at qcaa.queensland.edu.au, it is designed by QCA for both students and parents to be able to use. It is a great place for both educators and students to refer to get information, and it includes their QCE pathway, the subjects and courses they're using, their assessment and results as they're recorded, but also some information about how to get motivated and what's next. When you open up your learning account, parents and students, you'll see a page that has your listed subjects, and then you'll see some ticks along Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. That is just showing if your young people are enrolled in those courses. The tick does not mean they've passed that course. So that's really important to understand that. What you want to be able to do is see your projected eligibility, okay? So you see on this screen, it's very small, but you can see down the right-hand side, you've got a list of boxes that are blue. They say projected. So what that is that it's assuming your young person is going to pass those units in those subjects, and they will get those QCE points towards their QCE. They are not that they have passed already. So that's really important because that can be a bit confusing for people. If your young person, for example, has completed and awarded a certificate, you might see a different box that is green and it says that it's completed or credited. That means that they've definitely banked those QCE credits. What you're looking for, if you're wanting to know how your young person has gone in Units 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, which is, as Charlotte said, they're together. Units 3 and 4 count together, so you must pass them both. You can see on this page, this is the page you would be looking for. So you can see this young person has gotten a satisfactory in Units 1 and 2 for literature, math methods, music, very small writing, philosophy and reason, and physics. So you can see that, and then down the bottom, you can see they're doing music and practice. So you can see that they've got 5 general subjects and 1 applied subject. They're definitely ATAR eligible, and that they have gained their QCE points for all their Year 11 Units 1 and 2. You can also see right down the bottom there, that is if your young person is doing a certificate, they should be able to see that certificate is listed there and whether they're continuing or whether it's awarded. So if you need more information or support, you can please feel free to email Christine at yearcoordinator@brisbanesde.eq.edu.au. As Charlotte said earlier, her email is seniorschooling@brisbanesde.eq.edu.au. Once we become involved in organising the external exams, there is a specific senior exams email. That email is prioritised around those times of those external exams so that we can catch anyone who has anything urgent, any urgent illness or misadventure. And also you can see the email for Sarah Round at sround2@eq.edu.au. Any questions in regards to your QCAA learning account is at results@brisbanesde.eq.edu.au. And my email, which was put in the chat earlier, was cburk33@eq.edu.au. Just typing it now. And I'm principal. So I can see that there's been thank you very much to Al-Zahara. I think you've had a question for a while. Did you want to pop your question in the chat, or can you use your microphone?
Hi, my name is Nadia, Al-Zahra's mother.
Oh, hello. How are you, Nadia?
Very good, thanks. And you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for this great information session. I lost now, or I have problem. My daughter last year dropped down one of her subjects, applied subject, and she is now in 4 general and 1 vet. Is that enough to go with ITAR, or she
to
needs
go
to
for general and one
vet.
Cert 3? Is it a Cert 3?
No, diploma. Diploma
Diploma's fine. Yep, diploma's fine.
Great. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you for Sherry for picking up on that error with the senior exams. There should be an EQ in there. That's correct. But we'll also advertise that at around the time. Charlotte, was there anything I missed?
No, that all sounded very good. Thank you very much, Ms. Burke.
Good thing your microphone's working again. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, we've got 4 more minutes if anyone does have any questions.
I might just turn the recording off now just for the questions. Is that okay?
Yes. Tamara, all the students, when they get their QCE, their Queensland Certificate of Education awarded, what they'll do is they'll actually log into their My Learning account and get it down